If you're currently taking omega-3 fish oil for inflammation, sore joints, brain health, or your mood, we need to have an honest conversation today, because there's a real chance you don't actually need it at all. And here's the uncomfortable truth. One of the worst things you can do is buy a giant bottle of fish oil every single month, take it religiously, and later discover it may have been quietly adding to your inflammation the entire time. I know that sounds completely upside down, doesn't it? Omega-3 is supposed to calm inflammation. It's supposed to support your brain and protect your joints. So how on earth could it be working against you? That's exactly what we're going to unpack today. Here's the thing. Fish oil is one of the most popular supplements on the planet. People take it for practically everything. And yet, when you actually look at the research, the results for most people are surprisingly mixed. And the reason isn't what you'd expect. It's not really about the dose. It's not even mostly about the brand. The real issue runs much deeper. And if you don't understand it, you could keep taking fish oil every single day for years and get very little out of it, or possibly make things worse. Before I break all of this down, I want to pause for just a second. If any of this is already resonating with you, if you've been faithfully taking fish oil and wondering why nothing seems to change, I put together something specifically for people in your situation. It's an ebook called Cellular Freedom, and it's a complete step-by-step guide for supporting healthy inflammation levels and brain function from the inside out. The underlying drivers, the right nutrients in the right forms, the common mistakes people make, all laid out in plain language with the research to back it up, so you can start applying it right away. You can grab your copy by scanning the QR code on your screen. And here's the bonus. Everyone who gets Cellular Freedom is automatically entered for a chance at a one-on-one live call with me personally. I'll leave the code up throughout the video so you can scan it anytime, but please don't be the person who watches this and forgets. Scan it now or scan it at the end. Just don't leave without doing it. All right, let's get into why fish oil might not be the answer you're hoping for. First, we need to separate this into two groups because body inflammation and brain health are actually two different conversations, even though most people lump them together. Group 1 is people dealing with joint discomfort, full body stiffness, that achy feeling when you wake up in the morning and everything just feels tight. Group 2 is the brain side, foggy thinking, forgetfulness, mood dips, low motivation. You might feel sharp in the morning, but by 2 in the afternoon, your brain just checks out. You lose your train of thought mid-sentence, and it's gone. Most people grab a single bottle of fish oil and hope it magically handles both. That's where the problem begins. Here's what's really going on. If you're dealing with ongoing inflammation, it's almost never simply because you're not taking enough fish oil. In most people, the bigger driver is too much omega-6, not too little omega-3. And where does omega-6 come from? Industrial seed oils, vegetable oil, canola, soybean, sunflower, corn oil. They're in nearly every processed food on the shelf. At high levels, omega-6 competes with omega-3 inside your body because they share the same enzyme pathways. So if you're flooding your system with omega-6 from processed foods and then piling fish oil on top, you're essentially trying to bail out a sinking boat with a teacup. The ratio matters far more than the raw amount. For many people, that ratio sits somewhere around 20-1 when it should be closer to 4-1. You can swallow all the fish oil in the world, and if the ratio is off, it just isn't going to move the needle. And here's the part almost nobody talks about, and honestly, it caught me off guard the first time I learned it. A meaningful portion of the fish oil supplements on the market, especially the cheap bulk bottles you see at the pharmacy, may already be oxidized by the time you open them. Oxidized omega-3 doesn't calm inflammation. It can actually contribute to it. Rancid fish oil may be pro-inflammatory, so here's a simple test you can do right now. Open one of your capsules and give it a smell. If it smells like anything strong at all, that's a red flag. Fresh, high-quality fish oil should smell like almost nothing, or very faintly of the ocean. If it smells strongly fishy, there's a good chance you're taking something that isn't doing what you hoped. That's why so many people say fish oil did nothing for them after months of use. It's not a coincidence. The quality and form matter far more than simply whether you take it. And this is exactly the kind of thing I go deep on inside Cellular Freedom: which forms to look for, what the label should actually say, how to check what you already have at home, and what alternatives exist if you'd rather skip the guesswork. If you haven't scanned the QR code yet, it's still on your screen. Grab Cellular Freedom and get entered for that one-on-one call with me. Let's sort out your situation together. Now let's talk about what genuinely helps with inflammation: sleep. If you're not sleeping well, no amount of omega-3 is going to override it. Sleep is arguably the most powerful tool your body has for managing inflammation, and it costs nothing. When you're sleep deprived, inflammatory markers tend to rise. Even 1 or 2 poor nights back-to-back can nudge them up. Fish oil simply can't compensate for consistently bad sleep. So if you're waking up at 2:30, 3 in the morning and lying there wide awake, fixing that will do more for you than any bottle on the shelf. Next, vitamin D. If your vitamin D is low, and a huge number of people are, especially those who spend most of their day indoors, you're likely dealing with low-grade systemic inflammation, no matter what else you do. Vitamin D is one of the key regulators of your immune system and inflammatory signaling. And here's a connection most people miss entirely. Vitamin D and omega-3 work together. If your vitamin D is too low, your body's ability to use omega-3 effectively is reduced. So you could be taking a beautiful high-quality fish oil, doing everything right, and still getting very little out of it, because your vitamin D isn't where it needs to be. Please get that checked before spending more on supplements. And then there's blood sugar. Every time you eat refined carbs or heaps of sugar, you set off an inflammatory response. Oxidative stress rises, inflammatory markers spike, and it happens meal after meal if that's how you eat. No supplement, omega-3 or otherwise, is going to override an inflammatory diet. The food always wins. You simply cannot out-supplement poor eating. That's just how the body works. Now let's move to the brain side, because this is a very different conversation, and most people approach it the wrong way. DHA is the specific omega-3 your brain actually uses. Your body can technically make DHA from plant-based omega-3 called ALA, which is found in flax, chia, and walnuts. But here's the catch. The conversion rate from ALA to DHA is estimated to be somewhere around 5 to 10%. So if you're relying only on plant sources for brain support and assuming you're covered, you're likely getting a fraction of what you think you are. A lot of people on plant-based diets end up low in DHA and never make the connection to the brain fog and mood issues they can't seem to shift. But here's the one I really want you to hear, because hardly anyone talks about it. One of the most overlooked contributors to brain fog, forgetfulness, and low mental energy has nothing to do with omega-3 at all. It's choline. Choline is what your brain uses to produce acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter deeply involved in memory, focus, and learning. And the single richest common food source of choline, by a wide margin, is egg yolks. Not fish oil. Eggs. I know someone who was spending a fortune every month on premium fish oil for brain fog and had been doing it for nearly a year with almost no change. The first thing that made a noticeable difference for them was simply eating 2 or 3 eggs each morning. Within about 2 weeks, things shifted. That's it. So before investing in more supplements, just try eggs for 2 weeks and see what happens. It sounds too simple, and that's exactly why most people skip it. And I'll be honest with you, I used to grab the big bargain bottle from the pharmacy for years, convinced I was doing something great for my health. If I'd known it was probably already past its prime by the time I opened it, I could have saved myself a lot of money and a lot of very unpleasant fishy burps. Now, if you're taking omega-3 specifically for mood, EPA is generally the form that's more relevant, not DHA. EPA has been more closely associated with mood support in research, but if your stress hormones are chronically elevated from ongoing life stress, EPA alone isn't going to fix that. B vitamins, especially B6, B12, and folate, are essential for producing serotonin, dopamine, and the other neurotransmitters involved in mood regulation. If you're low in those, your mood may stay off balance no matter what fish oil you take. Some medications can also affect B vitamin levels. Metformin is a commonly discussed example. So if you're on any long-term medication, it's worth having a conversation with your doctor about it. Now, if you've genuinely worked through all of this, you've cut back on seed oils, your vitamin D is in a good range, you're sleeping well, you're eating eggs, you've cleaned up your diet, and you still want to add omega-3 on top of that, here's how to actually make it worthwhile. The form matters. A lot of cheap fish oil comes in what's called the ethyl ester form, and absorption tends to be lower. What you generally want is the triglyceride form. It costs more, but your body handles it more efficiently, so you actually get value for your money. Take it with a meal that contains fat, not on an empty stomach. Omega-3 is fat-soluble, and absorption drops significantly without dietary fat alongside it. A lot of people take it first thing in the morning before eating. Try not to do that. If you eat plant-based, algae oil is a solid option. Fish get their DHA from algae in the first place, so you can go straight to the source. And please don't judge omega-3 after 2 weeks. You typically need at least 8 to 12 weeks of consistent daily use before you notice meaningful changes for inflammation. Set a reminder 3 months out and honestly evaluate it then. If you haven't seen my video on supporting your arterial health through diet without buying a single supplement, I'll link it right here. That's the true foundation of everything we discussed today. And one last time, the QR code is still on your screen. Scan it now. Get your copy of Cellular Freedom. If you've been taking the wrong things for the wrong reasons, this is how you start fixing it. Disclaimer: this video is for general educational purposes only and is not medical advice. Please consult a qualified healthcare professional before starting, stopping, or changing any supplement, medication, or health routine.